What's going on, guys? So today we're gonna go through my full mobility routine that I do on a Monday, sometimes on Wednesdays. Now, because of the triathlon training, like I said before in the past videos, I'm doing 12 to 14 sessions, right? So that's strength and conditioning, that's swimming, cycling, and running. So I like to do some mobility training to allow my body to recover, but also get more range of motion, get that active in-range control. And I'm gonna do that right now, so stay tuned. So before we start going through the range of motion drills and the controlled articular rotations, I'm just gonna go ahead and sit on a foam roller here. And what I'm gonna do is just roll out my glutes, roll out any type of tight tissue that's been accumulating from just use, right? So running, primarily I ran 6.5 miles yesterday. So my hips, my hip flexors, my calves, pretty sore. So what I'm gonna do is basically just roll them out. I'm not gonna spend too much time here. I'm gonna start the workout like this. And basically what I have myself here is a half roller. It's harder than usual, which is good. But what I'm doing is I'm allowing my muscles to kind of relax a little bit more, right? And I'm rolling through that tight tissue. So right now I'm hitting the glute medius, and I'm gonna do about 20 repetitions. So I'm crossing my leg over here, and I've done similar videos in the past talking about foam rolling techniques and stuff like that. So what I'm doing now is just 20 repetitions, and then I'm gonna go ahead and switch sides, do my other side. Wrap my leg over, stretch out that tissue, and then roll through it. Again, if you find like you have like a pinch point or something tight there, you can actually stay on that and oscillate and just kind of maintain that pressure to alleviate that tightness. And for the most part, you're driving a neurological response. You're allowing the body to relax into this, into the roller primarily, right? So we're just, again, 20 repetitions both sides. And then from there, I'm gonna go ahead and work on going to my hamstrings and then my calves. And then I'll go to the front side, work my hip flexors, especially like TFL I'm gonna hit too as well. And then I'll take a med ball and I'm gonna go into my psoas, which definitely sucks. Now, if you do have a pso-right, I highly recommend it. If you don't have a pso-right, you can use a medicine ball, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So pretty simple here, rolling back and forth, putting my foot on top of my leg here so I can get added pressure. You can also turn the foot in, hit several different sides of the hamstring. That's extremely tight, so I'm gonna stay on that for a little bit. Breathe through it. And then oscillate right over that tight tissue. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to go all the way up to the bottom of where my glute meets, the hamstring, and then going down right back by my knee. So up and down, again, 20 some odd repetitions. So we got the calves here, walking all the way down to the soleus and then all the way up to the gastrocnemius. And primarily the tightness is really coming from bottom portion, right? So the soleus has been getting a lot of work with the run and even with the swim, with the kicking. Haven't swam like this ever, right? So there was a time where I knew not how to drown. Now there's a time where I know how to swim. So I'm actually kicking the feet and making sure that I'm using my entire body, staying taut. What Natasha says, staying taut. And yeah, so it's going well, but I am really tight here. So walking through or rolling through the 20 repetitions. Now we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna go to my adductors here, turn it at the angle, drop my hip down as low as I can, and then I'm just gonna roll to the groin and all the way up to the VMO, the vastus medialis. This is pretty tight too as well. You guys probably seen the strength and conditioning video I did where primarily I'm hitting max singles on a deadlift or a squat or some type of variation like that. So my legs are still getting work, especially with the biking, the cycling. We're doing big gear work, so it's really highly intense, pushing the paces there, but also pushing the high wattage output, which is good because at the end of the day, I still want to make sure I'm maintaining my strength, if not increasing my strength, as I'm still getting more conditioned. So 20 reps, 20 reps. And when you're rolling, just make sure that you're going through all that tight bound up tissue and going nice and smooth through that. All right, other side. Then we'll move on to the TFL and then finish up with the Psoas. All right, so now we are going into the TFL, or tensor fascia lata, and this is tight, right? And this is gonna be tight because of the amount of biking, for sure. And then again, with the hip flexors are being used, the hip flexors are being used throughout the entire time of training. A lot of times, especially me with the drives that I take, I'm driving 92 hours sometimes, going to Timberland's house in Miami. And so this gets tight, this gets bound up. So definitely want to go ahead and just release the tissue. If you can't get a foam roller, you can get a stick, or you can actually get one of those percussion devices. But man, a foam roller is super cheap. And then you don't need a whole lot of room, obviously. You just do it in your home. And you don't have to pay a massage therapist. Now, I do recommend you get some work done, some myofascial release done, some body work done by a qualified or certified practitioner. But this can be done daily to help you maintain your regularity to, again, release or loosen up at least the tight tissue, the bound up tissue that you're working. 20 repetitions on both sides. All right, so now what we're gonna do, like I said before, is we're gonna use the med ball here. We're gonna dig that right into our psoas. Now, the psoas gets tight, bound up. If you're talking about any sport in general, you're using a lot of anterior flexion, right? Or compression. So all this is gonna get bound up at some point, right? Combat sport athletes, triathletes, whatever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a med ball and I'm just gonna go ahead right by my belly button and place it down. And then from there, I'm just gonna shift my weight, drop my hip down about an inch or two from my belly button. I'm gonna breathe deep, breathe diaphragmatically, breathe into my belly and into my back. And then I'm gonna release that and let it sink down deeper. Switch to the other side. To the middle. Oh. Okay, there you have it. Now, again, I know you guys are gonna say, do you know what a soul right is? Yes, I do. I like those things. I just don't have it with me. So I do have a med ball, and that's what I utilize. All right, so now that we did all of our myofascial release or soft tissue work, now I'm gonna go into controlled articular rotations. Now, you guys see me do cars or controlled articular rotations in the past. The goal here is just to get that range, to practice the range that we have and solidify the fluidity of the joint capsule, right? So I'm gonna start with my neck and then I'm gonna work my way down the body, all right? So here we go. The thing that you wanna make sure that you're doing is you have to make sure that everything else is tight so that the joint that you're moving is moving isolated against everything else. So you're not compensating and moving throughout your body, right? We wanna isolate so that we can have true joint capacity. We can pretty much floss that joint out, right? Without having to move everything else. All right, so here we go. Tight body, squeeze the glutes, grab the ground, everything's locked in. You're gonna make fists. You're gonna cause what's called irradiation, all right? So basically tightness, right? You wanna increase tightness. From there, locking it in, I'm gonna drive my chin down, get full flexion, rotate, chin to shoulder, Open up, look up to the ceiling, big circle, chin the shoulder, back down. Again, other side, open up, chin the shoulder, back down. One more time. Reach, look up. Nice, steady pace, slow and controlled. Back around, open up, back down, okay? Main thing you wanna look out for is not hiking your shoulders, not rotating your upper body. Let's move on to the shoulders now, okay? So with this one, we're working through the full entire range of the shoulder capsule, right? Shoulder capsule is the most injured joint that the body can have because it has the most free range, right? It goes in all different directions. So we gotta make sure that we have the optimal range of motion so that we don't get injured, for one, and that we can do the things we need to do inside of sport practice. So first one I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just take my hand, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and spread out my fingers here. Then I'm gonna protract, so basically pulling my shoulder blade forward. I'm gonna take my other hand, and I'm gonna squeeze and lock my lat down, creating irradiation, squeezing my glutes, locking myself into the floor. From here, I'm gonna go up into shoulder flexion. I'm gonna get to the end range, right? I don't wanna see an elbow bend. I don't wanna rotate. I just wanna get to the end range. From there, once I get to that stopping point, I wanna get there, and then I want to start to open up. Reaching up to the ceiling, getting full elevation of the shoulder, and then bringing it back into protraction. Shake it out, do it again. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and go down to the floor and I'm gonna work my spine. Now, with the spine, there's two ways you can do it. You can do your controlled articular rotations, but I also like to utilize the cat-camel technique because I want to basically move my spine in each position, right? So I want full flexion and full contraction. So I want full compression and full extension. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go segment by segment. So I'm going from the C-spine, T-spine, lumbar, and sacrum, and I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I'm flowing through that, right? Then we'll work on rotation too as well, but first let's get flexion and extension. Here we go. Hands and knees. Knees are right below the hips. Hands are right below the shoulders. From here, I'm gonna go ahead and drive my chin to my chest. Then I'm gonna open up the T-spine, driving my hands into the ground. Then from there, I'm gonna go ahead, round the lumbar and squeeze my glutes and drive my abs. Squeezing my abs where my belly button is meeting my back. From there, I'm gonna reverse the process, right? Starting with the lower back, going into mid back, upper back, and then the top of my head. One more time. Chin, upper back, mid back, low back. Open. Just 2 times through there. Now we'll work the rotation. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sit down on my hips, right? So I can basically disassociate my hips from my spine. And I'm gonna take my arms, wrap them over, and all I'm gonna do is rotate as far as I can without obviously falling over. Rotate as far as I can, and then crunch down. Back up, other way, rotate, crunch down. All right, so the last one I'm gonna do for the day is gonna be my hips, right? So now all I'm gonna do is go into all fours position or quadruped position. And then I'm gonna do hip circles. And then also I'm gonna do a fire hydrant transition. So I'll show you what I mean by that. We're gonna go knee to chest first. You're gonna open, big rotation, back around, big rotation, get to here, fire hydrant out, extend, back down, back in, that's 1. All right, so look from the side. Drive up, open, big circle, back out, big circle, fire hydrant, extend, down, rotate, back in. Notice how my hip rotates, disassociating from hip to the back. Drive up, big circle, floss in the capsule, open, big circle, out, extend, back in. One more time. All right, guys, so there you have it. Quick mobility. Shouldn't take you anywhere longer than 30 minutes. There's other things that I like to do, obviously working the ankles, working the wrists, the elbows, all of that. But this is like a primer, what I would say, throughout the weeks. So I'll do this and then I'll probably go move on to the ankles and the feet and things like that. Let me know if you want to learn more. Hit the comments down below if you want to see more of the mobility session that I would be doing throughout the entire body in sections throughout the week. If you want to learn more about these particular methods of training and mobility programs, you can check out all of my programs and my mentorship course. Link is down in the description below. Also, if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notifications so you know when these videos come out. Hit the like button if you like this video, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.